My desire to be better has trumped my desire to win. Now that I've had these fights back, I've gotten in shape, learning how to handle my nerves. Cutting 2 weight classes in the 5 months. Now, I need to win.
Stephanie Cregan, she discovered boxing a few years ago, and she boxed in Haymakers for Hope. She was in New York at the time, I believe, to train for 12 weeks and have a boxing match with no experience. And that was years ago, but then since then, she's taken up amateur boxing as a passion. I think she trains more than I do. She's actually really good. She's kind of like Superman, like by day, executive, by night, actual competitive USA boxer, working to get ranked. I bet you she'll probably go pro one day. So I'm really interested to hear about this conversation. She's pretty cool. She also has a boxing gym in Hollywood. That's pretty cool as well. So check her out. What up? How you doing?
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Of course.
You're a mother, right?
Yeah. He's 2.5. He came to my last fight.
What?
Yeah.
What was that like, having your son at your fight?
When I came out of the ring, he had been crying.
Yeah.
And I was like,
What drew you back into the ring?
unfinished business. Well, I was supposed to compete in the Golden Gloves in 2020, a few days before they were canceled. And at that point, I had fought 3 times, felt really good, really confident, everything was clicking. And then, pandemic. But at the same time, that's when I was starting in food delivery. Stopped training. I'm also older. And then I got pregnant, so I was like, I'm just never gonna box again. Boxing is everything if you're gonna do it. After being a mom, I can't even imagine getting in shape again. And then same thing, knowing my age, knowing how many fights I had, I knew how many fights I had to have to be eligible to even enter into this tournament, because it's the literal last chance qualifiers for the Olympic trials for the next 4 years. So I don't have a choice if this is something I want to try.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite part about boxing? What do you enjoy the most?
It doesn't get any easier.
But then why do you keep doing it?
To get better. It's just one of those things that if you're dedicated and you have to understand it, you put in the time and you just keep going, you will ultimately succeed. It's just a matter of when. And that's one thing that's not always in our control, like anything. Everyone has their own timeline, and then somebody else has theirs too.
What do you say when people really just question your sanity for what you're doing?
I mean, the way I found boxing was through entertaining clients. The first thing that I realized when walking into a boxing gym is like, your title doesn't matter. The second you put gloves on, that's not going to help you. Just coming from a world where the first question people ask you is like, what do you do? Then going into a boxing gym and no one cares. To me, that was just a sanctuary to get away from all of that. And then when I started bringing people to it, they shared that same feeling of just being able to be like their true self for the first time. They would start to see, oh, now I understand why.
What would you say is the most valuable lesson so far that you've learned from boxing?
That it's just super hard. No, I mean, I think I've learned the most about myself from boxing. You wake up in the morning and you decide what you're going to do that day. Are you going to vote for the person you want to become, or are you going to stay where you are? Boxing just puts all of that under a magnifying lens of, are you going to run, or are you not going to run? Are you going to break down your day into the small behaviors and the small moments that eventually amount to the big plans or the big leaps that you need to take? And if you just take that principle and you apply it to everything, it really shows you can do anything that you set your mind to. You truly can be limitless, but you got to put the work in.
You have a family, you have work, you're also a human. How do you find balance?
Pasta.
Pasta! Awesome.
For me, the balance is in a sprint, take a moment. Sprint, get 2 steps ahead, take a moment, and then come back to it.
Best book you've recently read?
It Takes What It Takes by Trevor Moawad. He was a performance coach and started a company called Limitless Minds with Russell Wilson. He gave me a copy of his book, and I read it the week before my first fight.
The principles behind it are, as an elite performer, whether it's as an athlete or a term I just learned, a corporate athlete, which I really like, is, are you prepared? Do you understand what is needed from you at that moment in time? And then can you execute? And if you can take that approach without judgment towards anything that you do, that's all it takes.